I'm Anna Hutner, and as co-chair of this event, along with my very good friend Katie Feinberg, I am excited to welcome our Pomegranate Society members tonight. While we're still facing some challenges from COVID-19, Zoom is a fun and safe way for us to gather and celebrate, and of course, say thank you to our wonderful pomegranates for continuing to support our Jewish community. As all of you particularly know, the Pomegranate Society recognizes women who give $1,800 to $4,999 in their own name to the Jewish Federation of Greater Hartford's annual campaign. You are the backbone of our federation, and your incredible generosity makes it possible for us to meet community needs, including very unexpected ones year after year. So thank you for that. We have tonight, let's say, 27 women of impact on this call with our special guest, Chef Adam Greenberg. So feel free to scroll through your pages depending on how you have it set up and wave hi to your friends and see who's here. I'm gonna just take a quick little look and I see some familiar faces and it's really great to see everyone. I feel like it's kind of been a while for me since I've done Zoom, shockingly. Now, since this is, of course, our first Pomegranate Society event of the Jewish New Year and our new campaign year, I hope you'll join me in the Shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehachianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of all, who have kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this day. Amen. Carolyn, I am passing it over to you.
Thanks, Anna. That was a beautiful opening, and it's so nice to be here with everyone. I don't know if you know this, but I'm not here as chair of the board of Hartford anymore. Dana Keller is the official chair of the board. I actually have a new role, and it is a national role. I am the chair of National Women's Philanthropy for all of Jewish Federations of North America. And nothing makes me more proud than representing Hartford when I'm out there, in the national scene. And it's been a joy because everywhere I go, all I do is talk about Hartford. And before I get it started, Jill Delitsky is our new Women's Philanthropy Chair. Jill, you're incredible. Everyone here, get to know Jill. She is going to lead us in such an amazing way. She's just so bright, so warm, so wise, and I know you are all going to really love the way she leads. And she was mentored by the best, our Judy Schlossberg, so we know that she will really bring women's philanthropy to just even greater heights, if that's even possible. And Jill, I'm so happy that you'll get to hear from Jill in a moment. And of course, Katie Feinberg and Anna Hutner. I'm so glad you are co-chairing this event. It's really special. You two are always very involved, and to see you bring this event to life and engage the pomegranates is really meaningful. And you're bringing a very special guest, our own West Hartford native, Adam. Adam, I'm a fangirl, I'm going to admit, and I want you to know I watched every one of your Chopped. And not because I'm Lori's good friend, but because actually I watch every Chopped. And I'm obsessed with Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay. And I was out there cheering for you, and you're awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so glad that you're actually back in our community, and I can't wait to hear what's next for you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's not even what I was supposed to say. That was just my sort of ad-libbing stuff. Susanna's probably like, but I want you to know, as I said, as I've been traveling around this country, speaking to different communities, albeit through Zoom, it's supposed to be in person, what I really honestly have learned is how incredible our community is. And I see truly remarkable communities around North America, and ours is right up there with them. You as a community always step up and you say, Hineni, you are so generous, and you are so smart, and you are incredible women, and I share that with everybody around the country. And for those of you who don't really know what NWP is, National Women's Philanthropy, it's the umbrella, it's Federation's umbrella over all of the 146 federations, over all the women's philanthropy, and that's what I'm able to do And the tagline for NWP is Women's Philanthropy, Leading Community and Inspiring Change. And our community is demonstrating that every day and stepping up and saying Hineni. And the future of the Jewish world, ladies, is dependent on women like you. Together, let's feed the hungry, care for our Holocaust survivors, secure our communities, send our children to Jewish day camps or day schools, and work to ensure that our Jewish community is thriving in North America, in Israel, and around the world. And I always want to thank you so much for your incredible gifts to the Federation, because with your support, we have impacted so many lives. Your gift to the annual campaign is one single gift that you can make that will touch so many lives in a meaningful way. And together, we can do more than anyone can do alone. And that's the power of the collective. And this is a special community. And thank you. And now I'm going to, now they have a video prepared for you. So get out your tissues.
I see Federation as a central warehousing point, an umbrella organization that really helps us connect both within the Jewish community and beyond the Jewish community.
Federation to me is the glue, the connector that keeps everything in the community together.
We could not be the agency we are today if it weren't for the support we get from the Federation.
Federation really touches every facet of the community and enables the critical services and programs that meet both core needs but also enrich our community and enrich Jewish life.
Our partnership with Federation enables us to be part of the broader Jewish community and the broader society.
Together is also Jewish, Muslims, Christians, and all other faith communities and non-believers to be together. And all other minority groups that are there together, which are different based on their needs, perceptions, and choices that they're making. That is together.
Jew really is to celebrate life. Life is at the core of what we're all about, and to do everything within our power to enhance that priority, not only for ourselves, but for everyone. And we have wonderful partners who come together to help make that happen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jill Talitsky, and that video gets me every single time. I love when Rabbi Rosen says towards the end that to be a Jew is to celebrate life. And ultimately, that's what we're doing at Federation, helping everyone to celebrate life no matter where they are. And so I find it incredibly inspiring. I am so happy to see all of you. This is the first year of my 2-year term, and I'm so excited and honored to be serving. My family and I moved here 15 years ago. We chose West Hartford because we wanted a strong Jewish community for us and for our children. I grew up in Madison, Connecticut without a strong community and recognized how important that is. And I took on this role because I believe a strong federation is the key to sustaining and growing the community that I've come to love so dearly. And I get to start on a high note. At the end of August, we closed our 2021 annual campaign with great success. We raised $5 million for our Jewish community. Thank you to all of you for your generous support. We literally could not have done this without you. And out of that $5 million, the Women's Philanthropy Division contributed a whopping 30%. That literally gives me the chills. Those are gifts that we made in our own names as Women of Impact. Our 2022 annual campaign has just kicked off, and we need your support now more than ever. Both COVID-19 and unfortunately anti-Semitism continue to impact Jewish communities around the world, and Federation is working hard to ensure Jewish communities everywhere continue to thrive. As you probably know, along with our partners at the Jewish Community Foundation, we raised nearly $1 million last year just to help keep local Jewish institutions and families afloat during the pandemic. And through our international partners like JDC and the Jewish Agency of Israel, your gifts to the annual campaign helped to ensure that impoverished Jews around the world and over 20,000 new immigrants to Israel received vital services during this really difficult time. So what is new this fall? Well, there's always a lot going on, but in particular, we're working to secure legacy and endowment gifts to support our community now and in the future. We have amazing partners in this work at the Jewish Community Foundation once again, and at the Harold Grinspoon Foundation, where we're partnering on the Life and Legacy program, and the Zach's Family Foundation, where we're partnering on Endow Hartford 21 Challenge Match. Endowing a gift or leaving a Jewish legacy isn't as difficult as you might think. And I know a lot of people think you have to be really wealthy to do that, and you don't. There are many ways to do it that would make it really meaningful to each individual person. We'd be delighted to show you how or just to discuss the possibilities. So please get in contact with either Lori Mandel at the Federation or Catherine Gonnerman, who's on here tonight at the Jewish Community Foundation, to learn more. We are also thrilled to welcome Lior Krinsky to our community. Lior is a bright light, and I had the amazing opportunity to spend some time with her last week. And I think you're just all going to love her. She is our new Associate Vice President of Development, and she joins us with several years nonprofit experience. She recently moved to West Hartford with her husband, Jesse, and her 3 children who all attend Solomon Schechter Day School. Before we introduce Adam, our main host for the night, I want to recognize Dana Keller, our new chair of the Federation's board. And I think she's on by audio right now. She had some difficulties getting on by video.
Yeah, I'm on the train, so
Yeah.
you don't see my face. I'm sorry.
Well, we're happy to have you. And of course, Carolyn Gitlin, who you just heard from. And I want to thank Anna Hutner and Katie Feinberg for co-chairing this event. And most importantly, or as importantly, the staff for all their hard work, especially Lori Mandel, Haley Wasser, Brooke Calfin, Samantha Schoenberg, Susanna McNeil, Donna Wilbur, and Simi Benita. This would not happen without all the amazing behind the scenes work they do. It's really a joy to work alongside you to make our amazing Jewish community even stronger. And I'd love to get to know each and every one of you. So please, my door is always open, and I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you. So without further ado, I turn it over to Katie Feinberg, who will introduce someone she knows very well, maybe she'll tell you how, and chef extraordinaire, Adam Greenberg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Feinberg. Welcome to the Pomegranate event. I'm happy to be here with you and happy to be co-chair with my very good friend, Anna Hutner. It's always an honor to introduce the guest of the evening. And tonight it's very special because he's best known to my family as an amazing brother and a very special uncle. Adam has certainly accomplished amazing things in his career, such as being the 5-0 winner on the Food Network show Chopped, which actually deemed him the title, the winningest chef. which in our eyes makes him a celebrity. He's also competed alongside Bobby Flay in the show Beat Bobby Flay. And let me tell you, we've watched this show many times, and pretty much every time Bobby could not be beat, but Adam beat him. So then he went back to be a judge on the show. So that was kind of a, I don't know, I guess a cool celebrity thing. Adam also, in his career, likes to give back to the community or to charities of his choice. We happen to be on the benefiting side of that. Not sure you all know my daughter is special needs, and I sit on the board of her foundation. And Adam actually won an episode of Chopped and donated all the funds to our foundation. So kudos to Adam on that. In 2019, Adam made his dream come true when he opened his first restaurant, Coconut Club, which was located in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, like a lot of restaurants, due to COVID, he ended up having to close his doors, sadly. But sorry, Adam, one of the good things about it was you ended up here with family and friends.
Of course.
Which brings me to another subject. Adam has partnered with one of his friends in a restaurant called Sparrow, which is opening up in the new Grant space. Hasn't actually opened yet, Adam, right?
No, the build out's almost there. We're hoping end of November. Restaurants get pushed back, but the build out is gorgeous. It's very nice. It was something I sort of fell into. So really excited to be back in West Hartford. I know the space well. I actually helped Billy open Grants when I was in culinary school. So I was 20 years old, I think, then when Grants opened. So that was 21 years ago. So it's sort of coming full circle back home, and really excited to be there. Should be good.
And then also out of the back of that restaurant, Adam will be running a solely takeout.
I'm sure everyone's familiar, ghost kitchen, virtual kitchen in this world of pretty much takeout. We're gonna adapt as we go, whatever concept sort of sticks, and we're gonna do a salad concept. We're gonna do a subs concept. We're gonna do burrito. We're gonna try in whatever works for the town, and whatever you all like, we'll continue to bring that, and hopefully one sticks. But it gives us an opportunity. That building was so big that we decided to do something with the backspace that way. So I fell into this. It should be great. I hope you all enjoy it. I'm here for you. So whatever you guys like, we're going to figure it out.
And lastly, as we're here tonight to have Adam's pretty much infamous chicken pimientos and like the most delicious Brussels sprouts you'll ever have. While he was the chef of Barcelona, that was one of the dishes we could never not order. It's one of my husband's favorites. So although we're excited to try your new restaurants, we're looking forward to, I don't know who's cooking tonight, but we are. And we're looking forward to having some chicken pimientos and Brussels sprouts. So Adam, the floor is yours.
All right. Nice job, Kate. That was really well done. Hold on, I like what happened. I like the other view, Sam. I'm really large in this view. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. No, it's all right. Small shout out to Sam for running all the tech behind the scenes. Appreciate you. Sam Lewis and I I know your last name's not Lewis anymore, but the Lewis family and I go way back. So anyway, I know a good amount of you on the screen. I'm really happy to be here. And I am Adam Greenberg. I'm Katie's brother. I am her stepbrother, but we've been stepbrother and sister since I was like 3. So she's my sister. My greatest role is being an uncle. I'm so happy to be home. It's really fun. So as you all know, yes, Food Network, stuff like that. But anytime I do a cooking class, I'll tell everyone it's only as fun as you want to make it. So those of you that are cooking at home, follow along. Those of you that are struggling, feel free to ask your questions as you go. Anybody who has questions about the Food Network, about what's going on, is Bobby Flay a jerk? No question is wrong. I'm happy to answer everything. People ask me, was it really fun to be on TV? Well, I've never lost, so it's really fun. If I lose, I'll let you know how I feel after that. But for now, we're doing okay. Obviously, we're doing the chicken pimiento. This dish I can't take credit for. This is Barcelona's dish. It's obviously, I've made quite a good living on it. I've done more cooking classes of this dish. Normally, we debone the chicken and do all that. So anybody at home, for those of you that know, I'll get into it in a minute. I got chicken thighs with the bone in. You don't have to debone. You don't have to go through all the trouble. For those of you that struggled finding something, I'm really sorry. It's really all about the sauce. So that you can grill chicken if you want, and then just pour the sauce over it. You're going to get the same effect and the same feel. The fun part of in store with this dish, I don't know those of you that know, Bobby Flay used to live in Fairfield. So when he used to live in Fairfield, Connecticut, he would come into Barcelona just to get this dish. So the idea coming full circle and sort of I gotcha, it was really fun to beat him with the dish that he used to come into Barcelona for because he really loved it. I had to alter it for TV because they said you can't copy Barcelona exactly. So I did it the traditional chicken scarpiello, which has sausage in it. Tonight we're going to make it Barcelona style, except I'm using chicken thighs, and then we're going to do the Brussels sprouts. Okay, I'm going to bend my screen a little bit as we go, so you can sort of see what I'm talking about. You know what? I can pick it up too, which we'll do for a quick little tour. So what I'm going to talk about, and one of the most important things when you cook, if you cook at home, you know this. Some of you that aren't, we call it mise en place. So everything in its place, right? So whenever you're cooking and you have a recipe, you want to have everything out and ready. So I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to go over to the stove and cook. You're going to get that angle and be able to see what I'm doing. But you're going to notice I'm not running around for ingredients. I'm not like opening a cabinet, running into a drawer, doing all these things, which will help your life when you're cooking at home, is if everything is in front of you and it makes it really easy. For those of you not cooking at home, I hope you have a glass of wine or whatever it is that pleases you. Sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. I hope you have some fun questions for me. So we're going to start with the chicken. We're going to do the Brussels sprouts when the chicken's in the oven. We're going to make the sauce. It's going to come all together, and hopefully you'll have a nice dinner tonight or leftovers for tomorrow, whatever it is. All right. So I'm going to teach you little tricks along the way and things that I talk about. So in my pan here, I've got just 4 chicken thighs, and I'm going to season them. Okay. So I talk about this when we season, I'm doing it extremely deliberate here, but we season way from above so that almost like rain, it covers all the ground. Okay. So if I season really close to the chicken, obviously that spot is going to be saltier. So in a restaurant, same technique, we usually actually put this over like a tray so everything will fall on the side of it, or like a screen or something like that. So again, I season both sides, the skin and the chicken. Then I'm going to take you over to the stove. Okay. So over here, you've got your chicken here. I've got my pan here. A lot of questions that I get when I'm doing demos is how come my salmon sticks to the grill? Sorry. Let me do this for you. I was going to do that. I said I was going to do that. All right. So a lot of the questions I get is how come my food sticks to my pan, sticks to the grill? It's because either one, it's not clean in the case of a grill. In the case of a pan, you need to preheat it. So I know a lot of recipes you read, it says like, if you're cooking in the oven, preheat oven to 400 degrees. In this case, we said 450, whatever you can tolerate. But no one ever really says preheat your pan before you go and cook something. They just say put oil, cook on medium high. But it's really important that you do this before. So while we were introducing ourselves, while we were talking, I had that pan on really, really low heat. Now, as you can see, my stove, like I have a horrible, just like electric, terrible stove. But if you can cook on this, you can cook on anything. So I had it on very, very low. So my pan's preheated. And then I'm going to add, I use a neutral oil. Never use extra virgin olive oil to cook unless you're making like Italian sauce, something that's going to cook all day on really, really, really low heat. Because when you apply high heat to extra virgin olive oil, it becomes bitter. And you've just paid all that money for really good extra virgin olive oil when really all you needed to use canola oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil if you want a high smoking point. In this case, I'm just using canola oil, and I'm going to add this to my pan. And you notice when you preheat your pan, you do not need a lot of oil. It's going to coat the pan really nicely. So I'd say that was about a tablespoon of the canola oil. Okay. Now, please, you can shout at me if the recipe reads something a little different as you go. I'm doing this as I would, but I'm going to go as slow as I can and be able to talk you through it. So the oil.
Hey, Adam, you just sort of rocked my world with the pan thing. So you're saying that if I preheat my pan, it won't stick?
Yes.
Boom, that's it? Because I never preheat my pan.
Now, also, a lot of questions I get is like, you know, what kind of pan do you have? Like, I use like a non-stick $20 pan 99% of the time when I cook at home. But when you're using something like a copper pan like this, or especially anything but a non-stick, you definitely want to preheat. And then you need to coat the oil or lubricate it in some way. So preheat your pan, add your oil.
And you have it on like a low heat, so it's not like sizzling in there or something.
Right, it's still gonna catch up there. So right now I have my stove's on a number 5.
Yeah.
Like obviously it goes to 10. I'm gonna turn it up to like an 8 now that I'm actually cooking with it. So I can, once you preheat it, you can just use it. Now, if you're gonna cook right away, just turn it to 8 or 9, let it go a couple minutes, preheat, add your oil, and then wait. Especially if you're gonna do something like this where we wanna crisp the skin, okay? So skin side down, place it away from you, okay? So the oil won't come up. You all see yeah, this is great. All right, so you can do this. I gotta tell you, I've done a lot of Zoom cooking classes and never had multiple cameras going at once. This is pretty great. So as you see, Anna, you asked me the question. You see the skin? I can just move this. Can you see? I can just move this across the pan because I preheated the pan and it's really nice and lubricated. So the skin's not going to stick to the pan.
Yeah, my mind is kind of blown by that because I will say when I do that, it sticks and I get crazy.
Now, the other part of that too is, if you notice in here, is that I had the chicken on paper towel. So the drier that you can get the skin, just like in theory, I know this sounds obvious, but when you put water and oil, obviously don't go together. So the drier your chicken can be when you go to sear it, then you'll have a better time and it won't stick, okay? Now, as you can see, I'm talking to you over here as the chicken's cooking over there. So when you cook, you do not need to be running around, everything's crazy. I know what I need, okay? I've got my wine, I've got my chicken stock, for those of you following along. I've got my lemon juice or lemons cut up. I've got my garlic, margarine, cherry peppers, and then the parsley to finish at the end, okay? So everything's right here in front of me. I can take this over to the stove in a pan, whatever it is, and I have this set up nicely. So that way, we work and we clean as we go. Okay, I'll show you this. So basically, I've got this nice ingredient tray, if you will. And then you'll see in a minute when we make the sauce. So I've got this on like 8 or 9. We're gonna let the skin crisp up. Naturally, the fat's gonna render from here too. But we're looking for like a really, really nice golden brown, okay? Now, the part that's also gonna blow your mind is we're gonna just take this, once we get the color we like, or the crispness, we put it right in the oven, skin side down. Okay, so you're basically gonna cook this dish 85 to 90% skin side down. Okay, we only finish the flesh side in the sauce when it's done. So the flesh kind of soaks up some of that sauce. As you reduce, it's like a quick braise, if you will, for those of you that are more than novice cooking, but basically you finish it in the sauce and everything sort of goes together.
Heather had a good question though. Why skin side down? Why would you do that versus
So that
letting
way,
it?
so your skin's gonna get nice and crispy. So you're rendering out that fat that's in the skin, and it obviously will get really nice and crispy. And that's another thing at the end when we do the sauce. We don't pour the sauce over the skin because then your crispy skin will get soggy. And like one of the best parts of this dish is that you have that really crispy skin. So
Can you put
we do this
any,
with-
oh, sorry.
by the way, we do this with fish too. So if I was cooking a piece of salmon in the pan and I like it with the skin on because it's crispy, I would cook it the skin side, medium heat. Once I get that nice brown color, put it in the oven or even on the grill, cook it 90% skin side down. And then you just flip it right towards the end, but you get a really nice crispy skin. It's delicious. And this is like how generally in restaurants you cook when you cook meat or cook anything is you get a good sear, maybe on a steak, you flip it over, goes in the oven at 500 degrees. We cook fast. And it, at the same time as it's cooking in the oven, it's also searing in the pan, right? So as I've been talking to you, obviously we're over here. Okay, I'll show you. So we're getting there, okay? So it's like a little, we'd say we want a little more. Okay, but we're getting there. Now, another thing you can do is if, in this case, using chicken thighs, you have a little more fat, is you can pour out the fat that you have in the pan if you just want it to just render out a little more. That way you get a crispier skin. Okay, so I'm going to do that. You know what I'm talking about.
Can you put any pan in the oven?
No. So you can, most pans that I would imagine most of you have at home. When I say that, what I mean is like, you know, maybe someone has some, you know, a kid in college right now and they went to Target and got like one of those $5, you know, I don't know, just like a really horrible pan that's plastic handled. So a plastic handle can't go in, but most pans that you get now are all oven safe, or they have the rubber handle on it that's heat resistant. All nonstick pans are pretty much. So anybody that has aluminum or metal, they're fine to go in, even with those metal handles on them, or the rubber handles.
If you were using gas, what heat would you have it on?
It'd be like medium high, almost, because you really want to get that crispy skin. You don't want it on super high with gas, because then you'll obviously burn the skin. So we don't want to cook it really fast because we're rendering out the fat and making it crispy, but we also don't want to cook it too low because then it would take forever. So there is that in between, which is why I say kind of medium high. So you want to see the flame pretty steady. But the idea is to get that crispiness on the skin. So just, you know, there's a fine line between burning and then crispy, right?
Yeah, and Adam, though, like what Janice is curious, also, and I am too, what is the difference between using a broth versus like just a stock?
Okay, so we see this. Sorry, I'll answer that in a second. So we're starting to get golden brown like we like here. Okay, now we're gonna be able to take this. That's why I have like spots here on my pan. Now that we've sort of like kind of the golden brown that we're at, we're gonna pop this right in the oven. Okay. So that whole pan just went right into the oven, and I'm gonna make the sauce into this pan, and I'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Sorry, Anna, what was your question?
That's okay. No, Janice was wondering what
sorry.
the difference is between using like a broth or the stock in a recipe. I mean, that's a great question for so many recipes.
Honestly, like I don't ever use like store-bought. If I ever have, I've gotten like the old College Inn back in the day. Stock. My interpretation is stock is just straight like chicken stock, where they've put bones, vegetables, that's it. Whereas broth, they've added some sodium or added some things to it so that it's more like a chicken soup base. That's my understanding of it. But to me, chicken stock is always what I've used. And you know, I make my chicken stock all the time.
I think it's more flavorful, or is it just?
Yeah, it's much more flavorful if you make your own. I recommend, like, if you buy your own, the stuff at Whole Foods is pretty good. They generally have, even in the freezer sometimes, like actual chicken stock.
I think Crown does also, just to say.
Yeah, the Crown, sorry. I'm sure the Crown has great stuff there too. And theirs is made from kosher, so it's already salted, which is probably more delicious, to be honest with you. So yeah, I would use homemade or fresh bought or like something if you could. If not, like choose whatever brand you like. And just, it's not, I mean, I don't want to say it's not a big deal, because it is, but it's not. If you made it with whatever broth you like, you're not going to be like, oh, this is so different and it's crazy. It's a very minimal amount anyway. So it's really preference at that point. All right, so for the sake of the cooking class, so the way that we're going to do this, in the restaurant, what we do, like right now, we have the chicken in the oven. We make the sauce in the same pan. And for those of you familiar with the term deglaze, so we're going to make the sauce in this pan, and then we're going to pour the sauce that we're making into the pan that the chicken's been cooking in, because that chicken is getting all those good bits from the chicken skin and searing in the pan. So deglazing refers to, and we do this with short ribs, a lot of braises, is you sear your meat, then you add your red wine and you deglaze all that good stuff off the bottom. That's extra really, really good flavor. Okay. So right here, I've got my pan again. I've been talking, preheating while I've been talking. Okay. We're going to add a little bit of the canola oil for the sauce. For those of you following along.
Adam, I'm going to keep asking you questions that are coming up. Is that okay?
No, that's great. That's great.
Okay. So another question was about the salting of the chicken, which I don't know if you're using kosher chicken or not in your house right now, but kosher chicken is pretty salty anyway. Would you still salt that?
I would be a little careful. It's a great question. So anyway, we're going to start the sauce, and I'll go back to your question in a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Oil, and then we're adding our garlic to brown it a little bit.
Sorry, Adam.
Yeah.
Put garlic and oil in there?
Oil, preheat, and then garlic.
first or garlic first?
What happened there? Oh, you put in wine.
All right, so right there, I added the white wine. So, Kate, to answer your question, it's a little bit of oil, preheat the pan, put your garlic in, and I sliver the garlic. If you use the pre-chopped garlic, you just have to work quicker, okay? Because when they pre-chop that, garlic has natural moisture and water in it. So when they puree it, whenever, again, you put oil and water together. So anytime you chop garlic you ever at home, your oil's too hot, you're making like sauteed spinach, and you put your garlic in, you turn around, and by the time you turn around, the garlic's burnt. That's just because there's water in there and it's been pureed so much. So I sliver the garlic, it makes little pockets so it doesn't get moisture almost. Brown that up in the oil, then add the white wine, and we're gonna reduce right now. As we reduce, then the next thing you see me add is chicken stock, okay? What was your question that I was getting back to? It was a good question.
Salty chicken.
Oh,
kosher.
okay, so I did some kosher catering and kosher private chefing while I was in DC. And I gotta be honest with you, because I don't eat kosher and I haven't used a lot of kosher food in my life. I was unbelievably amazed at how much saltier the food already comes. And I almost say that in a positive way that, so yes, I would be a little more careful if you're using kosher product or kosher chicken to just keep your salt levels down and just kind of watch it a little bit. That's a great question. Really good question. All right, so I've reduced this wine pretty much like 50%, 75% of the way. You want to cook the alcohol out of this, obviously. While we're talking, in this here, I have oil at 350 degrees for our Brussels sprouts, okay? I know in the recipe it says saute pan, same thing. I'm just using one with higher sides on it, so the oil doesn't splatter.
And we put the,
All right, so we're gonna add our chicken stock for our sauce. You can bring this to a boil. Once you add the chicken stock, you can crank it on high because we want to reduce, okay? Now, here's where you all have a choice, okay? So I don't know if some of you had as much trouble as Lori and I did finding cherry peppers in the supermarket. I don't know, in part of all our shortages in the world, the whole shelf of cherry peppers was gone. I don't understand it, but we found some other ones. So I made this with roasted peppers during our little trial yesterday. It's delicious. If you don't like spice, use roasted red peppers. If you like it spicier, use hotter peppers, jalapenos if you want. So what I like to say when I teach savory cooking is there's really no wrong way. This is your preference. When we make the sauce, if you like it more lemon, add more lemon. If you want less lemon, right? So I think you hear what I'm saying. But right now is the time where if you want it really spicy, add your cherry peppers now. So the longer that the cherry peppers sit in your sauce, in your basically liquid right now, if you will. So I'm gonna put them in now. I like mine a little spicy. So the longer that these are in here, the more that sauce is gonna take on the flavor of the cherry peppers, right? It seems logical, but that's just one thing when I teach is really based, it's not how many cherry peppers you put in, it's how long you put them in, okay? So even if you want it like mildly spicy, just put a couple cherry peppers in and put them in a little bit closer to the end than you would now, okay? If you want to follow along and do it this way, that's fine too. No problem. So the cherry peppers are in. We've got our, obviously, from the beginning, the oil, the garlic, white wine. We reduced almost 75% of the way. We added our chicken stock. Now we added our cherry peppers, or you don't have to in this case. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to add our butter, or margarine, excuse me. We're going to add our margarine, and then we're going to add our lemon juice to be able to finish the chicken in the sauce. Okay? So I'll actually show you this now. I pulled the chicken out of the oven.
Yes, ready.
Really, really nice, crispy, golden brown. Okay.
Oh, that looks so beautiful.
What we're gonna do is we take the chicken out of the pan for a second.
20 minutes.
And we really like how golden brown it is. We're happy with that. This pan that's smoking hot that had the chicken in it, we're gonna pour the sauce. Okay. So all the bits and everything that was at the bottom here are gonna go into the sauce, okay? Now, as that's reducing, I'm gonna go ahead and add my butter. Or margarine, excuse me. I keep doing that. Add your lemon juice. Please, if anyone's cooking at home and needs me to slow down or has any questions, fire away. Okay, so we put the margarine, lemon juice, we're letting that reduce. And while we let that reduce, we're putting the chicken flesh side down into the sauce, okay?
How long do you think the chicken cooks in total? Like between the
27
initial pan? the
27
oven?
27 minutes.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding. It's just like the perfect math every time. And I'm using chicken thighs, which I like chicken thighs because you can't really overcook them. You know, like you can hit chicken thighs pretty hard and cook them a little bit, if you will, well done. And they're going to be juicier than a chicken breast. But in this case, the way we're doing it here, you sear it, it goes in the oven for, 10, 12 minutes, 15 minutes even. And then you take it out and finish it in the sauce for, you're going to see like, it's been cooked basically 90% of the way while it was in the oven. So right now I'm just finishing it, that last 10% as the sauce reduces, excuse me.
What's the genesis of this dish? Is it a Spanish dish? Or was it completely made up by
Oh, this is
Barcelona?
hilarious. So when they opened the first Barcelona, I wasn't with the company many, many, many years ago in Norwalk. They just had a chef that like ran this special of chicken scarpiello one night. It is 100% Italian, has nothing to do with Spanish, and they couldn't take it off the menu. So it just became one of those things that they didn't fight against. They weren't like, well, it's not Spanish. We'll call peppers or pimiento in Spanish. And really, like cooking as regional as it is, it's like it's been adapted elsewhere. It's not like, somebody's hasn't changed scarpiello and they took the sausage out of it, but they ran it like every week as a special, and then it just became a menu item. And then it was one of those things that people asked for all the time. So they just left it on the menu. And it's still on their menu and it'll never go anywhere. But back in the day, if for those of you that used to go, when I started in 2007, they used to have like a skirt steak on the menu, churrasco. That's Argentinian. And they may have the parrillada still, which is Argentinian. So it's really, Barcelona was more about just like adapting to what people want and like fun without, trying to bend the rules too much. But the one thing they've really like, this again seems logical, is a lot of chefs don't cook food that they get bored with it and then they'll take it off the menu. But like the Max Group does the best job of it. Like if you go to Max Oyster Bar, that chopped salad is the same for the last 20 years. And there's a million chefs that have come in there and said, oh, I can make a better chopped salad. And Richie's like, no, I get that. Like you're super talented, but like this is what people come for. So don't change it. Like do something else. That's fine. So that's sort of like the whole genesis of this dish is like, if it's not broken, don't fix it and just live with it. And I can't tell you how many people just tell me, and even I've been away from the group now for like 4 years or something like that. And I miss the classics. Like I don't miss any special I ran or like, and I don't even remember them to be honest with you, but I remember chicken pimiento and paella and all like the tortilla and all those kind of things. So as we've been talking, we've been letting it reduce, okay? And one thing I tell everyone, I'm gonna grab a spoon, is taste your food, okay? So don't get upset when you go to restaurants and see cooks tasting, as long as they're tasting with a spoon, and usually we use plastic spoons or disposable at this point, you throw it in the garbage when you're done. But when you're making a sauce, you need to taste to make sure that it's balanced in flavors and all those things. And I've made 1,000 of these and I've never not tasted the sauce when I make it. So that's great. If anything, I would just say I need a little more lemon juice. That's my preference. And then at the end, we're gonna hit it with the parsley. All right?
Hey,
Adam?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we had a question. Haley had a question about if you were making this dish with chicken breasts, are there any alterations you'd make to like cooking time or anything?
If you do the chicken breast with the skin on, no, I think you'd be okay. If you do just like the split chicken breast or something like that. The recipe is more designed for like a half chicken almost, but just until moist and tender. So even if you just got like boneless chicken breast, I would just cook them like on the grill the way you normally would, and then just make the sauce. And again, that's really like the whole idea of it. Like I've made this like super quick, where I've just like chopped my chicken up into chunks just sear it in a pan and then make the sauce and all this. So it's like, it's basically the same thing, but I just throw it over rice. So it's really, I mean, and those of you that have had it before, like you understand, I mean, it's all about the sauce, because then you want to dip your bread in it or whatever it is you got, mashed potatoes, whatever you want to make with it. All right, so we're gonna let that finish reducing a little bit. I've probably got maybe like 2-3 more minutes on it. But Anna, like you were asking in the beginning, you know, why don't we cook it the other way down? Is our skin is still really crispy right now. And then when you serve it, obviously you get that really nice crunch and everything, and you serve the sauce on it. Okay.
I mean, that looks so good already. I feel like I could.
Yeah,
get
it's
started
ready to
in
go.
a minute.
It's not a complicated dish, and it's even less complicated when I don't have you butchering your own chicken. You know, I mean, the real way, like at the restaurant, is we butcher a whole chicken, debone it so it's skinless, so you can just cut through. But you know, who has time for that and is gonna like butcher? You know, like I don't blame you. That's why I just use bone-in chicken thighs. They're delicious, you know, and especially in the summer, I want to grill, so I grill. And then I just make the sauce. And I gotta say, even with grilled chicken, like, you know, you get that nice char or like that good charcoal or whatever you're grilling with. That's really good flavor. And with this sauce, it's so good together. So you don't have to follow the rules all the time. Yeah. Like,
There are people who can't see both screens. And so if you're on Zoom and you look at your view, just make sure you're on the speaker view and not the gallery view. And that way you'll see both Adam talking and as well as like a view of his stovetop, so you can watch this amazing dish being created and you can practically smell it.
I was about to come off mute and say the same thing. The only exception is phones almost always only show the one screen. And sometimes iPads and tablets aren't great about it either. Others are. But as long as you're on a computer, you'll see both. And if you need to see both later, this will be on YouTube in a couple days.
Yeah, or I guess you could always like just pin it onto Adam's.
Or yeah, just scroll and find it to pin it.
Yeah. All right, so this basically we're done. Okay, I'm not going to plate that right now though. I'm going to set this to the side and we're going to make some Brussels sprouts. Okay. So
And you're doing this all on an electric stove, like not some fancy like.
Yeah, no, this is all like the cheapest. I moved into this house a year ago and it was already here. It's a GE electric stove like you would have gotten at, like if you go to Homewood Suites, I'm sure they have the same kind of garbage stove. Lord, it's the first thing I moved in. I was like, I gotta get a stove. And then I just started cooking on this thing. I'm like, listen, if I can cook on this, I'll save my money right now.
That's crazy.
I live in the woods of Avon, so I gotta, you know, get propane and then do the whole thing. So
You could probably cook on an outdoor fire pit.
I have a big green egg. I cook outside a lot, so I like to keep the mess out of the house usually. So Brussels sprouts, one of the most popular dishes that we did start at Barcelona 10 years ago when Brussels sprouts weren't quite as popular as they are now. Many ways to do this. Okay, I know the recipe is basically we're frying Brussels sprouts. So for those of you that are saying, what if I don't want to fry and I want something a little healthier? We can always do these very simply in a pan. I set up like a baby little fryer in my pot here. I can also show you right now what I meant in the recipe, doing it in the pan, because that's probably what most of you would do. So I'm just going to set the chicken aside. But then just for the sake of, for y'all being able to see sort of both techniques, I'll show you both. Okay. So I've got my pan on. Anna, we're preheating again. Okay. And in this case, it says like get the oil to 350 degrees. I'm not quite sure when you saute how you would measure 350 degrees when you're doing it this way, but you basically just want to preheat, get your oil hot as if you're pan frying or doing anything. Okay. Now, I don't know who bought what kind of Brussels sprouts. The market right now is selling the baby Brussels sprouts. Katie, I know you got those that are at Whole Foods. I got the other Brussels sprouts that come in a bag. Okay. Based on, there's two things we're going to talk about here. I quartered my Brussels sprouts. So one Brussels sprout was, I'm trying to reshape it together, was this big. Okay. It was a big Brussels sprout. So I quartered it. Now, the reason I'm quartering it is because we're just frying them. So when you fry at 350, we want to get these really golden brown and also cook through the center. So that's why I quarter them. If they were halved, it would take longer. And therefore you would overcook them when you're frying them and they would over brown, but they'd be kind of hard in the middle. Okay. So if you have like a decently sized Brussels sprout, quarter it. If they're small, you can cut them in half. The baby ones you can cut in half. You just cut the ends off, but completely raw. You do not need to blanch these or boil these in water or pre-cook. Same thing goes, I don't know for any of you who grill a lot at home, but whenever you're grilling vegetables, like you don't need to do any pre-boiling of, you know, asparagus before you put it on, just right olive oil, salt, pepper, right on the grill. Okay, so all my vegetables go raw right on the grill. Save yourself the time. Think of your grill as an oven. Okay, so you heat it up to a certain temperature. You could put pans on your grill. I cook with pans out there all the time. So just think of your oven more like or your grill more like an auxiliary oven that way.
Do you ever
Right.
sous vide before you
No, I don't do
any
all
other
that
things
stuff.
or no?
Nah, it's too, I don't know. It's not for me, the sous vide. I have, sometimes for catering and things, it's really easy and clean, but it's not really for me. Like I don't use like slow cookers and do, you know, generally speaking, like I cook a lot. So I don't have those things. Oh no. Sorry about that.
So Adam,
Echo back. Okay.
you said we could ask anything. I have so many burning questions.
Yeah, but real quick.
Not about what you're cooking. So you can interrupt and say I still have to tell them about the oil in my pan or something.
All right, yeah, so we've got the oil in the pan here to saute, and we're gonna add our Brussels sprouts. Now, just be careful that these like to pop, okay?
No,
Stand back a little bit. Okay, so I stand back a little bit, they do pop. Kind of part of it.
And they splatter those stoves and they're really hard to clean. By the way.
Yes, yeah. The other part is if you'd like to just roast these, just go ahead and toss these in a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper in an oven at like 425, probably 15 minutes. If you prefer roasting as instead of frying, that's completely fine, obviously. It's more based on what you want it to be. So you're gonna just kind of cook these on a medium high if you have gas. Medium high heat, we want these to brown. When you brown Brussels sprouts, obviously you get that real nice nuttiness out of them. Okay, then here we're gonna deep fry. Obviously step back if you get them this much. This is why I have a pan right here lined with some paper towel. We're gonna go right onto the paper towel with them after we crisp them up. We're gonna toss some of that paprika salt. I already made the paprika salt here. For those of you that followed the recipe, and for anybody who's asking, what if I don't have smoked paprika? You can use regular paprika. You could add garlic salt. You could add whatever you want. You want to add cumin. Have fun with salts. Like that's always a good thing. So if you just make like, I eat really simply like grilled vegetables and this and that, but you can really add some flavor and different things by just adding some spices into salt. And now you have, like I like to make cumin lemon salt, or in this case, paprika salt. Garlic salt's really good, but you always have options. So just think of things like that rather than having to make sauces or, always have something. So here with these, you can see, I was talking to you, we were letting these brown up, okay? You don't be afraid of color. We're not burning them, but you'll smell it when you make them, that they really have such a beautiful nuttiness to them versus, the way we grew up, mom used to boil them and they taste terrible, right? I know those of you that grew up in the 60s and 70s on here know what I'm talking about. All right, so really, really nice. It smells super good in here right now. I actually prefer the pan roasted versus the fried. The fried sometimes, as you can see, like when you're frying at home, they can soak up the oil a little more, which isn't as appealing.
Can I ask a silly question about the Brussels sprouts? Do you wash them first?
Yes, I did.
And then do you peel off the outer layers?
Yes, when you cut the bottom off, you'll notice that the outside layers want to peel a little bit. So just go ahead and if they're a little brown or a little weak, just throw them out.
Right.
But even the leaves are good fried, but just as long as they're clean and
How much oil did you put in that pan to fry up the Brussels sprouts?
Tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half.
I put too much oil in.
Yeah, you can challenge it right up.
What?
Right. So I just put them in a pan with a little bit of paper towel and shake it just to get that oil off. Okay. Then I'm gonna season with the paprika salt.
In your opinion, do you think the deep fried ones taste better or not necessarily?
In a commercial restaurant, yes, but at your house, probably not. And I only say that because a commercial fryer can keep the temperature when you put something in it. And like, I'll be vulnerable with you for a second, right? Like, you think everything I cook is perfect? I bet you do. So I pan fried these, added the smoked paprika salt, and then threw them in a bowl with some of those pickled onions right on top, and we're good to go.
That looks amazing.
So who just asked me the question about the fried ones? Was that you, Anna? Or were you moderating?
All right, it wasn't me actually, but I guess the question was more about what do you think tastes better, right? And you said in a restaurant.
Yeah, to answer your question is, I put these in at 350 in my house, and the temperature dropped all the way down to 275. And now these are just sponges of oil, which I would never serve to someone. So I basically messed up the deep fried ones, and then the pan ones are much better. So if there's a learning lesson here, it's do them in the pan at home. So because the temperature really, once I added those Brussels sprouts, the temperature drops so quickly, and you really need them to keep up that temperature. So even if right now I turn it up and I fry them, there's so much oil that's been soaked up by the Brussels sprout that it doesn't matter anymore. So there is fried food shouldn't be greasy. Okay, that there's like a misconception there. Like, if you fry in really clean oil and you fry quickly and then you pat it dry, yes, it's still fried food. It's not super healthy, but whatever you're eating isn't just like a big sponge of oil. Okay, so that was the Brussels sprouts. The chicken we put to the side.
How far away do you live from me? Because I could come and pick that chicken up, you know.
Yeah. All right, so the chicken down on the plate. And we're gonna pour the sauce on the plate first. I'm gonna pull this over to the camera.
How did you get small? Should I do this?
Okay, so we put the sauce on the bottom, cherry peppers around, chicken on top. And then that fresh parsley, this goes around as a garnish, but it also kind of, just kind of melts into that sauce a little bit. But fresh parsley is good. We don't want to put the parsley in the sauce when it's on the stove, because then it'll brown and it won't be as delicious.
Does chicken need to rest, Adam, like way red meat does?
You should. I mean, I always like to rest any meat because in theory, even though you're cooking chicken 100% of the way through to like a 165, right? Sorry, so those are your finished dishes right there.
That's gorgeous. By the way,
Come on over, I deliver.
Doesn't look so good.
You want to rest your chicken because anytime you cook any meat, really, the juices or the blood or whatever you want to say, they rush to the middle, okay? So when you let it rest, everything sort of disperses back through. So if you've ever had a steak, right, and you pull it off, no matter how, if you don't let it rest, cut it right down the middle and then see how it's going to be almost cold and rare in the middle because you didn't let it rest to let the blood recirculate back through the steak. So no matter what, you know what I mean? So with chicken, same thing is you cut the ends off, it'll be dry and the middle could be more raw, but you want to let it rest, let those, you know, and it continues cooking anyway. You get that heat that kind of maintains in the chicken. So like I know how to cook chicken breast basically to the point at like it's 163 and then you let it carry and it goes to 166. So that when what Anna was asking is letting meat rest or chicken or anything, we call that carryover cooking. So the natural heat that's inside, that's why turkey, every year you read the directions and it's like, take it out and let it rest for, 30 to 40 minutes because it's a bigger piece of meat. In the case of a steak, you let it rest for 5 minutes and you're fine. So with that, you always want to cook under. Like a turkey, it's always dry because people cook it to 165 and then, oh my God, it goes all the way to 185 and 190 even because they don't account for that. So with chicken, if you cook it to 163, let it rest, it'll go to 166 and you have perfectly juicy, delicious chicken, right? But if you cook it to 165, it'll go to 168, 60, which is fine. And it's just, just depends how you want to eat it. That's all. Like I'll eat, I like really juicy chicken. I'm not saying I'd ever eat like medium rare chicken or something, but like I try to cook it to like 165 even, or 166 in that case. So yeah, you let it rest. It should be good. Go ahead and dip it, enjoy it. This is the advantage. Katie lives a block from me, so now I'll go bring this over to her and let my niece.
No, she's making her own. I don't think that's fair.
Let my.
Wait, Katie, I want to see yours. Let's see yours.
Not that good, but hold on.
Wait, we're on
Did
mute.
anyone else cook along?
Ours
I
doesn't.
just looked like I did. In a smock.
You did
And I-
look the part, but no one else.
Adam.
I want to see
You guys
Deborah
go to the
Mead.
top right corner.
cooked
You
along.
can switch your view back to gallery and see everybody.
Okay.
Okay. Adam,
Yeah.
what is your new restaurant, Sparrow? What kind of food is it?
There's our.
Katie, that looks good.
Nice, Kate.
Great.
And where's Deb's? Let's see. Of course, Deb's looks perfect.
No, I've never made this before, Adam, and I have to say that
All
my husband, this is his favorite dish at Barcelona, and now I'm going
Nice.
to be able to make it for him, and I've never made it
Yes.
before.
I love it.
I'm excited.
I love it. That's so great. Yeah, it's really not like the hardest dish in the world to make, and the adaptations to it, as far as, like I said.
Adam,
Yeah.
how long do we cook once the chicken's, because we're like a little behind, when we put the chicken back in the juices after it's out of the oven, how long does it stay in there?
Like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Basically, as the sauce is reducing, Kate, so that it's getting thicker.
Oh, this isn't on.
I put it on.
Another butter argument.
So Adam, what
Uh-oh.
before we wrap up, Carolyn asked what the concept of Sparrow is. Do you mind just
All
telling
right,
us quickly, and then we'll
Yeah,
wrap
so
up?
I originally was, when I was closing my restaurant in DC, I was hired as a consultant for this. So I was helping on the menu. I have no, like, this isn't my restaurant and say I am a partner now. But I didn't know what it was going to be until I was helping on the menu. So anyway, Sparrow is going to be bar tavern style pizza. More pizza in West Hartford. It is a very different style than anything else. So when I heard he was doing pizza, I was like, more pizza in West Hartford? Like, why? It's like, if any of you have traveled to Southern Connecticut, it's like Colony in terms of super, super, super thin, except it's made by me. So it's a little chefed up and very different in terms of, we do a little crust around of cheese. And the way I define it is like, if there's such thing as light pizza, this is it. So somebody could eat one by themselves and it's not super heavy. And really the dough is so, so thin that it's like crackery. I almost call it like an elevated Celeste pizza. If anybody like remembers how, you know, the frozen pizza section in college, those super thin crust, it's kind of like that. And, you know, it's great. It's really good. And then we're going to have some apps and salads and that's it. It's a huge bar. The bar was put into the middle of the restaurant. The whole Grants as you knew it is just completely demolished.
Wow.
So they gutted it out. They've spent a lot of time and money on this. I'd always had the lease for almost 2.5 years, but then COVID hit, so they didn't know if they were going to keep building. So one of the major money guy behind it is from Greenwich, and he has a construction company. So he pulled his crew out for COVID because he didn't know what was going to happen. So now we moved along. We actually flattened out. Just a little simple thing for me growing up in this area was the Grants patio was always slanted. And you like, if you ever eat outside, it was so annoying. So we actually leveled the ground and we got it flat. So we'll have our patio will be nice and leveled. I was like, you have to do this. So it's going to be great. The design is really nice. The bar is right in the middle of the restaurant. It's very communal, families, TVs on the wall. They're kind of those art TVs. So they're framed. You wouldn't know that they're TVs until you turn them on. So for the Gallus family will be the Syracuse and Michigan bar. You guys can fight it out. Where's the
It
wall?
sounds really fun. It sounds like
Yeah.
a fun concept.
There you are, Matt. There you go.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
we can't hang up yet. I have like 1,000 more questions. All right,
Yeah,
is it too
please.
late? We don't know when this was in. All right. We need a little behind the scenes of Chopped.
Of course.
You're in a sweat. They say they like turn it up to 1,000 degrees in that room. Is it true, or are you just in a sweat because you're buying?
No, so I'm a bad example to ask who sweats because I sweat in the winter. So
All right, just give us another behind the scenes.
worse. No. I know what you mean though. I'm being sarcastic, but I can't help myself in that regard. The show is exactly as you see it. And that's why I love like being a representative of it, an ambassador, whatever you want to call, is you go in at, so the way it works is it's like a 15-hour day for an hour show.
No.
So you have to go in at 5 a.m, meet across the street at Starbucks. They bring you, you're always with a handler or like an assistant producer or somebody. So they walk you across, they let you put your stuff away. They get you set up and then they give you a tour of the kitchen. So by like 6:30 in the morning, you're getting a tour of the Chopped Kitchen. They take you through all the equipment. This is one thing I don't ever understand is when someone's like, oh, my oven wasn't working and like, they tell you if like your oven doesn't work, just call for production and you'll move to the side. So they tell you like, if this happens, here's what you're going to do. They don't ever stop the camera. They don't ever say, flip that pan again or do that. The difference is when obviously in editing is there are a million cameras in there. So they have mounted cameras. There's one cameraman just for you. So they chase you around. Like I've done a couple times. I'm like, you know, like a football, I'm like juking around the kitchen because I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, sorry. And like the guy's like right there in your face. But they don't stop. So it's exactly like you open the basket, you see what you see, it's go, you cook, it's over, they judge you. And I mean, and it goes by. The reason it's such a long day is because they do the interviews. So the first time I ever did this, my interview afterwards took 2 hours. Because
what? I don't understand.
So they'll say to you, all right, your first round, you made so-and-so. You went over to the fridge and you were getting basil. What are you doing? So natural instinct as a person is you speak in present tense, but you need to learn to speak in past tense. So instead of saying I'm at the fridge and I'm getting basil, you have to say I was at, you know, I'm sorry, you have to be in present tense, not past tense. So you have to say, oh, I'm going over to the fridge. I got to grab basil. Not I went to the fridge because you're not. So when that's the only sort of production-y thing they do is they pretty much take you through. And if you win, you have to go through 3 rounds of that. So that's why it takes so long. So they okay, you did this, you did that. One thing like they don't show, there's a couple things in some of my episodes. The episode that I did, Scott Conant was in it and I made like a bolognese or something like that. And I had to grind the meat. So there's only one grinder. I ran over to it and got it and it broke while I was using it. So I had to call for production. They went and got me another grinder from one of their other Food Network kitchens or backup, whatever they have. They bring it in, but while that's going on, I just have to go do something else. I can't, like, they don't stop the time for me. So I'm grinding meat. I know I'm making sauce. So I just turn around and I start doing something else and I have to wait for the grinder to come back. Now they know it's going to be there. Like, they're like, it'll be here in 5 minutes. So you're just like, fuck, excuse me. It's just like, oh, fine, go, keep going. So I just keep going and just, you know, roll with it. It fits my personality, the show. It has nothing to do with like how good of a chef, you know, some chefs are just not personable and they're not quick thinking or whatever. The game show aspect of it is great for me. The other thing they never show, and I've told this to a few of my chef friends that are like, give me some tips. And, you know, if you go on. So when they give you the tour of the kitchen, they tell you the ice cream machine can take hot base, meaning when you make ice cream, you have egg yolks, cream, sugar, and that's hot. Like you have to heat that up. Now, most ice cream machines, you have to like cool your base down before you pour it into the machine. This one is so high tech, you can pour hot base into it. And they say 4 minutes, you'll have ice cream. So coming back to the story, the first time I ever made ice cream, I went over to the microwave and I set the timer for 4 minutes. But they don't show that because that would be the biggest like cheat ever if they taught that to other contestants. So they've told me no one's ever done that before. That's like genius because I knew I wouldn't have churned butter because if you overturn ice cream, it turns into butter.
Was it really 4 minutes? Because everybody screws up the ice cream.
And I had to clean it out. Like they thought I was insane. I was cleaning it with my hand. I was just like scraping. They thought I was nuts. They actually had like a blooper show once and showed me cleaning it out with my hands. And they're like, no, production will clean it for you. Go on to something else. I was like, okay. So they just cleaned it out for me. They're like, ready. And as long as you have 4 minutes, and I think I had like 7 minutes left one time. Now that's one thing they also don't show. I'm really organized. So like I had my plates like ready, cleaned my table off, and I always was ready like 4 minutes until the end. But they show it like I'm just like last thing on the plate. Like, you know, they make, you know, so those kind of things because it wouldn't be fun watching someone super organized and like, wow, he's really kind of into, you know, so it's making a mess of it is obviously a little more, but they don't throw any curveballs that way. Like it's hard enough. I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it's an awesome experience, obviously. But the cool lesson I learned was Marcus Samuelsson. I made ice cream in the first time I was on, and the second time I almost lost making churros. And he said to me, he says, why don't you make ice cream again? And I said, well, I made ice cream last time. He goes, I wasn't on that episode. Like you got to treat it like it's another year, not even like, oh, last time I was on, I made ice. He goes, who cares? So every time since I've just made ice cream because I know it'll do well. And then I just set the timer.
That's so funny.
So that's done well. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I could talk to you about the behind the scenes forever. I'm sure everybody else wants to do
Oh.
things, but I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it was great.
Adam,
Anytime.
this was so great. I mean, besides learning about the, heating up the pan and the olive oil thing, reminding me once again, I just thank you so much for doing this for
welcome.
Federation, for the pomegranates, for
welcome.
all of
Of
us,
course,
and
of course.
everything you've done. I think we all
I look
really
forward to seeing
appreciate
you all
it.
at the restaurant. I recognize so many of you, by the way.
So
so-
Adam, I
All
have two
come
more
in and have a
questions that
party.
came in that I see here.
Yes, Sam.
One is, are you gonna go on Guys Grocery Games anytime? Because that show seems perfect for you.
Who asked that?
And the other is, what was the toughest ingredient you ever had to use?
Blue cheese lollipop.
What? Blue cheese lollipop.
On Chopped, I got a blue cheese lollipop. It was disgusting. It tasted nothing like blue cheese, and it was just sugary, and it was so random and gross. I like melted it down with cream. Like, it was so weird. Yeah, that was really weird. I got lucky. You know, that show also is a lot of luck in terms of, like, I've had two friends paired up against each other that are both amazing chefs. Like, not to say I didn't compete against amazing chefs, but like sometimes just the luck of the draw or the ingredient. Like one episode I got blood clones, and most 3 contestants against me didn't even know what they were. I knew only because when I was with Barcelona, we used to go to New York once a month. It was part of our kind of field trip job. You'd have to go down to the Fulton Fish Market, and we'd always get what we needed and kind of was part of the field trip. But then we would always get one thing that we'd never used before and then learn how to use it and look it up. And we got blood clams once, so I knew exactly what they were thanks to my experience. But in that case, it's just the luck of the draw sometimes what's in the basket.
That's hilarious. All right, one question. So, are you friends with Bobby Flay, and what do you think about him leaving Food Network?
I wouldn't call his friend. I don't know him, like, fair enough. I've met him twice in public. One time he was standoffish. One time he was fine. On the show, he was really nice. I give him credit. He works really hard. I mean, so Beat Bobby Flay is his production company. He films 2 episodes a day for 2 straight weeks. So he's pushing 15-hour days. Like, he works hard. They obviously do his interviews faster and cater to him, but I would do the same thing. Like, no big deal. The only thing that's really funny is after I beat him, they do the interview again, just like Chop. And she says, "So how do you feel?" And I said, "Well, another 10 grand's awesome." She goes, "Honey, you don't win a thing. You just win bragging rights." I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's it? Like, I just say I got to beat Bobby, but I don't win any." So his production company and him, he's cheap. He's really cheap. He can afford it. We didn't win anything. I just win
because
bragging
he
rights.
always wins. So
Yes,
he's
that's
never
right.
paying out, so he should
That's
pay
right.
out.
And who asked the Guys Grocery Games question, Sam?
Wait, what do you think about him?
Heather did. I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know. My lips are sealed. But I will say, Guy Fieri is the nicest guy I've ever met. He's the nicest guy. Such a good dude. Yeah.
He seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
Maybe
He's a
we
really
can get
good
him to
guy.
come to Sparrow Diners, Drive-Ins, and
Oh my
Dives,
God.
even though it's not a diner, drive-in, or dive.
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. I'd have better luck getting Heather McDonald for the Bravo fans on here, but that's for later. That's Matt Gallis and I. We can gossip over Bravo later. I see you, Tracy. Yeah. Some people have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's great. The Randall and Lala drama is a lot right now. Right, Kate? It's a lot.
I don't know if you guys saw Complete Meal, but
How's the food?
we're
Nice, ladies. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Job.
That's
Right.
beautiful.
I'm taking
Good
off
job.
Thanksgiving this year then. You guys got it. Nice.
Thank you so much, Adam. This was
So welcome.
so super fun. I
Great,
can't
thank
wait
you.
to try the dishes myself, or maybe go to Barcelona and buy it myself. But
Please, if we don't get to see you, come into the restaurant and please say hello to me and just reintroduce yourself if we don't remember.
absolutely.
I don't forget a face. I may not remember everybody's name right away, but I don't forget
Absolutely.
a face. So please come in and say hello.
We're definitely coming in. We're going to come in as a group. And
That's great. I would love that. I would love that.
Take over the restaurant.
right,
Well,
Lori?
actually, the great thing about this is they built a private dining room, which West Hartford doesn't have a lot. So we have enough space for 50 people private in the back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
50 or 15?
50.
Oh my gosh, I've been looking for a space
Yeah.
like that around
Yeah,
town.
it's great. And it can block off and shut, and they have TVs for if you want to do meetings and put things on the screen. And yeah.
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Booking
That's
that.
awesome.
The
Yeah,
NEFCO private dining meetings. Let's go.
We'll be having some federation events if you can do kosher.
Yeah, there you go. We'll have to bring in the crown for that, but we'll,
If you say it's okay.
yeah, we can cook kosher, but not official. Yeah.
True. Go ahead, Jill. You were
Any
doing.
other questions? I'm here.
So I just want to thank you so much. And pomegranates,
welcome.
I hope you all enjoyed yourself and can't thank you enough for your commitment to this community. You are a vanguard of the community, and it's a pleasure to be your partner in philanthropy. As I had mentioned earlier, we recently kicked off the 2022 annual campaign, and I hope that you will continue your pomegranate commitment and think about an increase. If any of you are interested in moving your gift to the Lion of Judah level, we do have a step-up program to help you get there, and you can talk to me or Lori or anyone on the team, and we'd be happy to sit down and speak with you about it. And as always, we are so thankful for your generosity at absolutely any level. And events like these wouldn't happen without the support of our business partners. I think Sam has a slide, and they offset the costs of these programs so that more of your annual campaign contributions can go back to the community. We have several levels of business partnerships available. So whether you represent a large corporation or have a small business, we hope you'll think about it. And if you'd like to learn more, please contact Simi Benita. And I also want to tell you about a special program that Carolyn mentioned. She has the apron on right now, but there is a National Women's Philanthropy Program tomorrow. It is another special Zoom, and it's a holiday partnering with the Shabbat Project. The Shabbat Project happens every year, and Jews in over 1,600, almost 1,700 cities get together to experience the magic of Shabbat. It actually spans 10 languages, from Panama City to Paris, Long Island to Lagos, and more. The Shabbat Project shows us what a new Jewish future could look like. Shabbat keeps us together across continents and times. And we're going to be sending out information to everyone on this call that will have a link to sign up to that. So join us like this. You can come and watch. You can come with dough and participate, and you'll get some spirituality and a challah braiding demonstration, which I know I could use above the 3 braid. I've watched the YouTube videos 100 times and always screw it up. So, and right now you are actually going to see a survey pop up on your screen. We'd really appreciate it if everyone took just a second to answer it, to tell us what you think of this program so we can plan future events that are really super meaningful to you. And before we close, I just want to say once more how grateful we are to each and every one of you and every single gift to the annual campaign. I want to have an unbelievable round of applause for each one of you here, our wonderful women of impact. And thank you. And I hope you have a great, great evening.